Don, I always just like to get a little bit of an idea of what a person was doing before the war period came along in their lives. So, can you tell me a little bit about your life, you know, in Maple?
Maplewood.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Well, my dad moved up here from 1923, so I've been a permite for forever, it seems. In high school and perm, and then I worked at Schmidt's Garage after school. I worked there for 6 months, and Mr. Bulk came up and asked me if I wanted to work for him, and I said it all depends how much money. The first job was $45 an hour. Hour.
Yeah, you wish, yeah.
$45 a month.
Uh-huh.
Ed Bulk says, well, I'll give you 65. I said, you just hired yourself a man. This was the hard times. So I worked for Mr. Bulk for 2 years. And Bill Sakal was the manager of the Co-op Oil, and he says, how much coming to work for me? I said, how much money? He said, $85 a month. So I spent a couple of years there. I worked mostly nights, and then I would go out to the farm and work on the farm for half a day or so, go back and sleep and go back to work. And after that, I got a job down at St. Paul at New Brighton, Federal Cartridge Defense Plant. And I worked there about 6 months, I guess. That's when they come up and told me I have to put in for a deferment or I'd be drafted. I said, let them draft me. I don't want to do that. I went down and enlisted in the Navy Seabees. That's where I got a second-class rating. And meanwhile, I had a 10-day leave, I think it was. And then shipped out, went and sworn. I went to, well, this should go in the other report, I guess. But they shipped me to, that's the start of the service. They shipped me to, with another bunch of guys, Williamsburg, Virginia, Camp Perry, where I took my boot camp. Do you want to go on with that?
Yeah, in fact, you're just doing great. So I'm just going to let you talk for a while, and then after a bit, I might ask a few questions to fill in a few gaps or something. But and don't worry about facts or figures or times or dates or statistics. It's more just like you're doing what you saw or where you went or experienced. You know, we don't need figures and times and things. You know, so don't worry yourself over those. Is what I mean. But
Before I went in. We had 2 kids, Kenny and Beverly. And the wife, she moved in with my folks at the time while I was gone. And then she worked here at stateside. She managed the kids and did a lot of things for benefit of the war effort. So at Camp Perry, I was only there 4 weeks. And they rushed us up to Camp Endicott, Rhode Island. And there we had 2 weeks advanced training. Then they shipped us to, I got an embarkation leave. It took me more time traveling than I had leave to get home for the furlough. And then went to troop train to California, Camp Parks. San Francisco. Then we went to the staging area, Port Hueneme, which is a big CB base. The reason I enlisted is because I got a second-class rating, which gave me $96 a month. I had done some for the family. So then we boarded ship. Liberty ship. And it took us 7 days to get to Hawaii. And then we regrouped there and had some more advanced training. Then they loaded our battalion on, I think it was 5 SLSTs. And then we got to Pearl Harbor, the mess that they had there. And we was there about 6 weeks, and then we loaded and went to Island X, they called it, but the scuttlebutt was the Marshall Islands, and it was. So we sat out in the harbor while the Navy big ships, big guns. The island was small. There's 2 islands connected by a causeway. And we unloaded there. That's when they made me a mortician, picking up the dead pieces of Japs, oodles of them. And about, I don't know, maybe a month or so later, I picked up the dengue fever, and they had me running a temperature for 7 days. And they decided to take me by a landing craft down to Anahuac, put me on a C-54, flew me to Pearl, back to Pearl to WWII hospital. I was there about 14 days and it cleared up. So they put me on a tanker to go back to my outfit, which was 109 Seabees. So when I got back there, it was about a month later, they were going to ship the whole battalion back to Pearl Harbor for rehab. So I got there just in time to come back. So then we had rehab, and a couple of the guys blew the corks. Oh, by the way, when I talked about Roy Namor, the 2 islands connected by a causeway, we were hit. I got proof of it, I got it in writing, by a Japanese bomber that snuck in at 11 o'clock at night and hit our ammunition dump. And the measurements of that, the hole that it left is in that piece of paper. And I lost three buddies. But when it hit that ammunition dump, it kept going off and off and on for about 8 hours. Let me see. Then in Hawaii, we went the same way on LSTs to Guam. And that's where we ended up, cleaning up the mess there. That's why I got in the heavy equipment deal, working the heavy equipment machines. That's what I brought back with me, the know-how, or a lot of it. And while we were in Guam, I met 5 people from Perm that were in the service.
No way.
Gene Siebels right now lives in Norfolk, Virginia. He retired as a commander. Billy Sayers retired as a commander. He's at Norfolk. They're all originally from Perm or out on the farm or whatever. The Weichert boys, Donnie Weichert, Laura Weichert, and Al Grimm. He used to be a barber in town, but I met him twice at Pearl Harbor. So it was quite an experience.
Don't forget Harlan.
And my brother, I met him there too.
You did?
I met him in Pearl Harbor and Guam. So that's
amazing.
Yeah.
Now, did you go out of your way to meet him, or it just came about?
We knew one another's addresses because Gene Siebels was a baker, chief baker, chief postman, or whatever.
You mentioned that your brother went into the service the same day?
Same day, yeah. Or we enlisted, or he didn't enlist, he went in. He was back here about a year after we was overseas, and I wrote him one of those silly little letters. I said, the action was out here, come on out. And it wasn't, I don't know, a month or so later, he walked into my camp. He said, well, here I am. What do you want me to do? Yeah.
That's
So,
amazing. Now, you mentioned you were cleaning up on Guam.
yeah, yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. There's a lot of building going on. And you're seeing the B-29s go over when they went to Japan. Yeah. So that's about it.
Okay, now she had reminded you of something then?
He was working heavy equipment and built airstrips.
Ah,
and
Yeah, that's
roads. Oh, you didn't mention that.
that's what we did.
yeah, I was gonna ask kind of what your main duties were through the different phases that you had. Um,
Well, they were building Quonset huts, mostly airstrips, and
mhm. Okay. And then you learned to operate heavy
Yeah,
equipment.
yeah.
Then did you use that skill when you came back
Yeah.
home?
yeah, yeah. I worked for contractors back here. For when we moved out of here in '59, I went out there. It's when I had this late. The doctor said I'd never go back to heavy equipment again. But I was only out there a year, and I went right to work. Kept on going. Kept on going. Bought another machine. So that's when I ended up when they had to redo this leg and stiffen it out.
Took the knee out
Yeah.
completely.
So tell us what CBs. Tell us about the CBs in general.
Construction battalion. Yeah, they were a rough outfit.
Yeah, I've heard a few things about the CBs. Tell me a little more.
Yeah.
How about when you were bombed by the Japanese?
I told them.
Yeah, the ammunition depot bombing. Yeah, and you said for about 8 hours it would.
Just kept going. And see, the water, the sea is all sitting in coral, especially along the shore. That's where that's where we got, I've got spots all over me from the coral. Blew up through one. Jackie Johnson, there was 6 of us in the tent, and the tent went kaput, and we all headed for the beach. Jackie Johnson says, wait for me, he said, I got a shit. I said, just go anyway, keep running.
That's right.
And chief warrant officer blew his cork, and he said, the Japs are coming, they're coming in from on that side. They never came. We lost the commander of the outfit, who went berserk, lost his mind after the bombing. But you're getting back to the CBs, so I did pretty good out in the East Coast. All my folks and all my relations out there. My sister went out there first, and she married a guy. Well, he's from Detroit Lakes, but they stayed out there. She was in the service.
He worked the Pentagon.
Yeah. And then my folks went out. They went west first and then come around the south, pulling a little camper. And then my brother Rod, when we got back out of the service, my folks still lived here. And my dad, Harlan, was a hellraiser. And my dad said, here's a one-way ticket. Go out there too. So then my brother graduated from high school in '47, and he went out there right after that. He went in the car business, or gas station, I guess it was. And he made up mind he's going in service. That's the one you met.
What, you mean the one that told me about you? See, I haven't met him yet.
Oh, haven't you?
No, I've only spoken with him by phone. The
Oh,
one in Myrtle Beach.
oh,
Yeah.
They'll be here by around the 1st of June.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to interview him, but
Well,
yeah.
he'll talk.
Well, he sicked me on you first just to make sure it was okay, and then he's gonna do it.
Yeah, he can tell you more stories than we can.
Yeah. Well, you're doing great so far, that's for sure.
yeah, he went out in 47. I mean, he got 1 year of college, that's what he enlisted. And he went in as a apprentice seaman, if you know what that is, that's the lowest rank you can get. And 37 years later, he come out a rear admiral.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, but that one year of college give him a boost.
Yeah.
He wanted to go, and he'll tell you that. He wanted to go in once more. He said, "Get out of here, you're too old." But he was a skipper of I believe it was 2 different ships. So he was up there pretty good.
Do you remember, this of course was before you enlisted, but do you remember hearing about Pearl Harbor happening?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what you were doing when you heard about that.
You were working at the oil station.
Huh?
You were working at the co-op that Sunday morning when we heard.
7th, 1941.
That's right, you guys were already married.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
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 Yeah. Okay. What do you remember about hearing about it? That's go ahead, Pam.
Well, believe me, we had our heads to the radio. They didn't have TV then. But that whole day, we just kept listening and listening, wondering whether we were going to get in it.
I have 2 friends that are still there.
Yeah, we had 2 buddies
From the
from here.
VFW.
Yeah,
Rasmus.
Erasmus.
Sadowski,
Yeah, exactly.
And they're still in that.
Yeah.
Mutt and Jeff, we call them.
Really.
Rising was a big guy. And Joe
Sadowski.
he was short. Both in the boiler room when she exploded.
They're still in business.
Yeah, exactly. Tell me a little bit about, well, let's start with boot camp. What were your first thoughts when you arrived there?
Seeing this one soldier was a Jew boy. He says, "I'm getting out of here." He was gone the next day.
Because, for what reason? Why
He
again?
didn't like it.
And how did he get?
He wouldn't go to the mess hall. He'd have another kid go and get him sandwiches out of the delicatessen. He said, "I'm getting out of here." He's gone.
Any idea how he managed that?
Bought himself out, I guess.
What's that?
He bought himself out, I suppose.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Red mud, the red ground of Camp Perry. We had the rain and we had the mud. Oh boy. Yeah. But back safe and sound.
Yeah. You mentioned going over on a Liberty ship. That was like a converted.
8 bunks high. I got a top bunk. Was I lucky?
Yeah. Yeah, because I know why too.
Yeah.
8 bunks high.
Yeah. Liberty ship.
Wow. How many do you suppose were on the thing?
Well, our outfit took some 1,200 men. I wouldn't have any idea.
Yeah. Wow. And you mentioned receiving some advanced training. Was that toward starting to do heavy equipment or not yet?
Not then, no. I did that overseas. Yeah.
And you were going to speak more about the Marshall Islands, the 2, connected by the causeway. You said something about.
More.
Well, one thing we found was a 1937 Ford 2-door. The guys having time with that. It was beat up pretty bad. Yeah. There they discovered, or we did, a Japanese generator, a huge thing, and they got it to work. It was damaged, but not that bad. but that's what supplied to it. The Roy was about 5/8 of a mile long. And the Corsairs come in from the aircraft carriers and landed and refueled. And then they had practice every Sunday morning. It seemed like they'd practice. They'd come over to ripple the Thames.
Really?
Yeah.
Flying that low
Yeah.
just to be that, just to do that.
Yeah.
Huh.
One went over the end of the runway, but nobody got hurt. It just come in for a landing.
Now, was it the Marshall Islands where you said you became a mortician for a while? Was
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
Yeah.
As much as you can, because people need to understand this, just speak as frankly and openly about that as you can. Tell us what that was like.
Well, I had 8 men under me. They gave me a 45. And I had the young guy, Richard Moore from Syracuse, New York, was 17 years old. And he was on that body. We were going down the road and he'd seen a part of a jet laying there. He jumped on top of my shoulders and he said, "Oh my God." He wasn't any more scared than I was. And don't ever let him tell you that you wasn't scared, because you damn sad with him. Especially when you're sitting in a big battleship sitting out there and just shooting the hell out of the island. Yeah.
So then it was your duty to stop and pick up that
Yeah.
body part?
Yeah. And we got a picture of a big hole that we dug, buried him.
Pushed in a bunch of Japanese.
Really? So they dug a big hole like with a...
Yeah, bulldozer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You mentioned losing 3 buddies when the ammunition dump went up.
There were several more that were sent back to the States. One was in Texas, I know him very well. But I found out a couple of years later that he died, young man, from the effects of the war.
So the 3 buddies you lost, were they, I don't want to say just injured, but were any of them killed, or were they...
3 of them got killed.
Yeah, so 3 of them were killed and
Yeah.
more were sent back due to
Yeah.
injuries, is
Yeah.
what you're saying. How was it dealt with when someone was killed like that? Was there any camaraderie that helped people get through it, or did you keep to yourselves about it?
Yeah, they had technicians that helped the men with different causes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tell me, go ahead, Van, and then I was just going to ask, I am so sorry, I'm so bad with names.
Don.
What's that?
Don?
Oh,
Mary Ann.
Mary Ann, I just apologize again. But tell me what it was like while Don was gone.
Wasn't easy because I had 2 little kids to take care of. But I did move in with his folks. They didn't want me to stay in the apartment we were in. And then I worked at stores. And keep the home fires burning. Yeah. But it was hard. And, you had to make a decision on your own. If they needed help from the doctor or whatever. That's one good thing living in a small town. They understand when you call and say you need help. So, yeah. I worked all the time that he was gone.
Don mentioned that you had done some things helping with the war effort. Was there anything specific you can
we
think
made
of?
bandages and stuff like that. And then getting stuff, packages ready to send. What am I trying to say, wrapped cookies or wrapped not, the cake wouldn't go, but all that kind of stuff. And, like toothpaste, toothbrushes and all that.
Okay.
And we always had great big boxes to put on the train. Where they ended up, we didn't haul them.
Sure. Did you ever get one of those type boxes, Don?
Oh, yeah, she used to send stuff pretty often.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Oh, I meant that someone else might have packed, so to speak, or did were you
no,
ever?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
No,
of any of
I
the
don't
kind
think
of
so.
anonymous ones or whatever, so to speak. But yeah, she'd send you goodies and stuff. I'm sure.
And another thing I did, when, where were you that you lost your sleeping bag?
Oh, that's when we were bound.
Yeah, okay. Then he wrote me and he says, can you make me a sleeping bag? Well, I was sort of a sewer, so I made one and sent it. And in the meantime, the needle went right through my finger. But, no, I made a pretty good size, because he's pretty tall, was at that
Yeah.
time. We're
Oh,
both
yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
But, no, I made him a sleeping bag and sent it to him. So,
How old were the kids when he had to go?
well, let me see. That was 43 when you left.
Yeah.
Beverly was born in 37 and Kenny in 41.
So
they-
6 and 4 about.
Yeah.
Okay. Do either of you remember anything about how you explained to the children?
No, he wouldn't talk about it. Especially about putting bearing the Japanese, he wouldn't say anything.
Oh, no, I understand that. I mean, when they were that young as far as having to leave.
Oh, they knew that Daddy was leaving.
Mm-hmm.
And his mother and Dad took care of them while I worked. So everybody did what they could. I know all the sea rations, not the sea ration, but we were rationed could only have so much sugar at the time.
The ration coupons?
Yeah,
Mhm.
for gas
Yeah.
and sugar, coffee, flour, butter, I think, if I remember.
Now, did the kids know, or did you know when he was going to be coming home? Did you know an exact date or anything, or did you just show up on the doorstep?
Oh,
No, no.
We knew it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
no.
December 12th, 1945.
Hey, she remembers.
Yeah, it was. Just before Christmas. They had a troop train from California. In fact, yeah. And it took us, I think it was 5 days to get here from California in the troop train. It had to derail and let the passenger trains go by.
Oh. So what was the mood like on the troop train coming back?
I'll run into, they put it in the bulletin on the board every morning, what troop train was going to be made up. And I was recognized the name on there, Walt McCullough. And he was from Perm. So I just hung around, well, here he come walking to see if he was going to be on. We was on the same troop train coming home. He's long gone. A lot of them are long gone.
His brother died of cancer, 1986, the one that was in the service.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, you're a laster.
yeah,
You're a long laster. Must be an energizer.
Long-winded.
How did you guys pass the time on the troop train?
drinking.
People in the smaller towns, we'd slow down. Or the train would stop. They'd be right there.
Like the Red Cross.
Furnishes beer or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Everybody got something every time they stopped.
yeah.
Wow. Wow. That's-
Then when he came back home, the old World War I men that were left wanted to start the Veterans Foreign Wars.
VFW.
Yes.
Of course, he was enlisted into that for hard work it was. And then after they organized the auxiliary. And of course, that's where I got in. But before that, we worked hard to get it all going.
And they signed me up when I was overseas.
Yeah, and his,
I was just informed the night of the funeral for Wayne Horenzen. We was down at the luncheon, and this guy from the VFW come up and he said, "Don," he says, "do you know that there's only 2 of you left that are on the charter member of the VFW?" I says, "No, I didn't."
Is that right?
Yeah. So they had a list of the charter members that are deceased.
our
But
picture.
now the other one is in, they put him in a home just a month or so ago.
Who's that?
Benny Lyon.
Okay.
I don't know if you could interview him
Yeah.
or not,
Okay.
because he's
Yeah.
lost his.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about getting a VFW going. You know, you said you mentioned Japan. You mentioned that it was.
We organized it, the older me and then us wives that were there.
Okay.
We organized the VFW before they got home.
Yeah. Oh, I see. You had it already
We had it
going.
worked, yeah.
And that was you mentioned that the World War I survivors were the ones
The
that.
ones that really started it,
Yeah,
yeah.
that really started.
Al Nelson, Charlie Fowler, I can name a whole bunch of them,
Mm-hmm.
but they're all passed away.
Sure. Yeah.
We had quite a time rounding up everybody, and then all those that were overseas, we signed them up, but we had to get their permission first.
Sure.
And so we got a good BFW going, and we worked hard afterwards, because you always had to have benefits to make money, you know.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
both of us worked hard.
Yeah.
And then they elected him commander and me president the same year.
What you guys do in your spare time?
Oh,
Yeah,
we
those-
didn't,
We got some pictures there, go way back.
Yeah, we'll have to remember to.
yeah.
grab
And then
those out.
we moved out to Maryland in 1959. And the World War II people out there, they said, well, we'd like to start a VFW here. And Don says, well, I'll sign up. So, okay, started in, and hard work there, benefits and whatnot. And now we have our own, and well, then the auxiliary started too. And about that time, what was at the time, we worked hard to get it going, but at the time, then our son disappeared. And we found him 3 weeks later, so they decided that it would be good for him to be commander, get his mind off of it, and me president, okay.
So here we go, round 2.
Give round, oh boy. But now they have we worked hard, and he did a lot of with his machinery, cleared the trash and the old barns and whatnot, all, and they bought that lot. And he built a beautiful building, and he was the instigator and the hard worker.
I was commander for 2 years. And that's when they built the building.
Now this is in Myrtle. This is the one out east.
Maryland.
Maryland, rather.
Maryland.
Yeah.
Waldorf, Maryland,
They're going
yeah.
pretty good.
So when they opened the bids, a friend of mine was a contractor, and I contracted from him. I was still in the business. No, I wasn't then, I was out of business. Anyway, he saved us $22,000 just for me knowing somebody that I had worked for about 10 years.
When he was
And
his
that,
own machine.
they never acknowledged that. And that's what kind of teed me off.
Yeah.
And then the old house that we were using for office makeshift. And I found a guy that I had 3 bids. The lowest one was 12,000, the other one was 10,000. And the one that I knew, I had known about her since I was out there. I said, you come and give us a price. He said, price of $6,000.
He hauled out
There
everything.
was a joke about that when they come in, they did it on a Saturday, brought in that big crane. And we were a bunch of us standing there watching them doing this work on Saturday. In the front of the house, he's got a big light on him. He started pulling down, and the curtain was down, and it went up. I said, "Oh, good God, maybe there's somebody still in there."
All standing around there, all,
That was crazy.
we all thought that this lady was still in there.
Yeah, they got a nice building.
You mentioned you had known Rasmussen and Shadowski.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Rassie played football
Mm-hmm.
when I was going to school. He's a little bit older than me.
Yeah.
And Joey Shadowski did go to high school.
What things have I not thought to ask you about your time in the service? Anything of importance that I didn't think to bring up or anything?
No, I think you got it covered pretty well.
Well, how did you become with the big machine to make the roadways, and causeways, and airports, airstrips? And,
Yeah, how was it you wound up in the heavy equipment?
yeah,
Just perchance that they were looking for one
Mm-hmm. Okay.
for operators.
You always liked playing in the sandbox, so you thought you'd try it real style, huh?
yeah. And not only that, he had me send him seeds. He wanted to plant a little garden right alongside of his tent.
Cool. That's
That was-
great.
That was on Guam.
That's neat.
This magazine comes from the Seabees themselves.
Okay.
I am a life member too of the Seabees,
Uh-huh.
National Seabees. So it explains on the bottom.
Caused by an explosion of an American bomb dump set off by a Jap bomb during the... Okay, so that's the ammunition dump area? Wow. Wow. And this is the dump burning then, okay. And it was set off at 2:20 in the morning, okay, yeah. Okay.
This is the one I brought back. You can just thumb through there.
Okay.
Pages,
Yeah.
see some of it.
A lot of these are...
Towards the back, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of these are officers and such, and then... Uh-huh.
There's a lot of the pictures.
Okay. Wow, that's quite a book.
That's what we did. It's all through that whole section.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Explains it pretty well.
Uh-huh. And did you mention that you had a picture of the mass grave that they did or something for the Japanese?
It's in there somewhere.
It's in here? Okay. That was what was left a part of the island, evidently, a beautiful tropical paradise.
Yeah.
Well,
It's football.
yeah. Is this when the two of you went in together? Wow.
That was over in Guam.
You're on the right.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
They do look a lot alike.
Uh-huh. And this was taken over in Guam?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The picture of the two of you together? Oh, before we move on, you explained these are the bodies of Japanese
Yeah.
men, and then that was
They
like
used
a...
flamethrowers. See, they were all dug in. They used flamethrowers to get them out, and that way they got them out, but they're in pieces.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. And so that was like a mass grave that they
Yeah.
did then?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. And this was taken in Guam then, when the two of you were there?
What's the pictures you had laying here this morning?
Oh, that's mine. That's mine.
This is all write-ups about different things.
Yeah, well, that's okay. I just wanted to get a couple of ideas here. Yeah, what was...
Before you
Why don't you
finish,
pan over here then?
just catch.
That I'm proud of,
Yeah.
very proud.
That's when he was commander and I was president in Maryland.
Wow.
And when we went to the state convention, we were
Yeah,
awarded the best,
Tip of the balloon.
auxiliary,
What it said.
best,
And that's it.
yeah,
Yeah,
number
so-
one, anyway.
it's hard to read that.
The Roy Maddox Award, 1989 to 1990, Best All Around Post. Wow. Post 8810, Donald Simon, Commander.
Right.
Yeah, I would be proud of that too.